Yo, War Rapport family, it's your boy Mike G. We got a special guest for you guys today. I'm here with Ceasear Walker, and today we have Courtney Taylor, former Auburn receiver from 2003 to 2006, 2003 freshman All-SEC honors, 6th round draft selection by the Seattle Seahawks in 2007. Courtney, thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, man, thank you guys for having me.
We are excited to have you here today to help educate our listeners a little bit about what it's like for receivers at Auburn. I remember being a film guy that season. One of my favorite moments from that season was the touchdown that you caught versus LSU.
Oh, yeah.
In 2004, right? Can you talk a little bit about what it's like for what it was like for you that season on that team? You made some big plays during your time at Auburn. And, you know, what kind of mindset did you guys have that season that helped propel you to an undefeated season?
Oh, man. Like I said, you guys have to excuse my voice a little bit today because I've been coaching this past weekend and the voice is definitely gone. But, yeah, I have great memories about that season. I can remember leading up into that season, the off season. It was a time where we came together, we gelled, and you could feel something special was on the looming, you know. And the year prior to that, we was picked, to be the national champions the year prior to that.
I remember.
But that season didn't unfold like we wanted it to unfold. But we stayed the course. We kept working, and like I say, I just remember that season. Something was special. We could feel it, and like you say, going into getting to that season, playing that season, game to game, and I mean having that confidence and that feeling that nobody could beat us.
Right.
I mean, we didn't care if we got down, we didn't care if we was up. I mean, we just didn't care. We had the mindset that we was just going out to do something special. And each game has started building to that, where, you win one game, 2 games, 3 games, and then you play big time opponents. You play the LSU, the defending national champions from the year before. I mean, so, just putting that season in in this perspective place, it's just like, I mean, you don't get seasons like that. And
right.
So for us to experience that and to do that, I mean, it's something that all of us remember forever.
Let's go back to the LSU game. Courtney, you balled out, bro. You had 5 receptions for 71 yards and a touchdown against a Nick Saban coached LSU defense coming off a national championship. You look good, man. You had another big reception you had in that game was a 4th and 12 on that last drive.
Yeah.
You called a pass, J Cam threw your way, and it was an amazing catch. And then what led to that eventual touchdown reception. Yeah. One of the things that we've been talking about is the importance of going 1v1s and how those practices prepare you guys for big games. And as good as LSU's defense was, Auburn's defense was pretty tough that year as well.
Correct.
So talk about how going against guys like Carlos Rogers and Montavis Pitts in practice, getting open and beating those guys to get open and make plays in practice prepared you for games just like the LSU game.
Yeah, you're right. Like you said, that game, that game definitely sticks out in my head. A lot of big plays in that game, not only by myself, but by Jason, Cadillac, Ben, Anthony Mix, Devin. I mean, I could go down around the room. So many big plays in that game. But to go back to your question, it's like the confidence that you get from going against some of the best players, that was in college football. I consider Carlos Rogers to be, I mean, he was the Thorpe Award winner. He was literally the best corner I've ever faced. And I can take that even further going into my professional career. I thought that he was just one of the best. And during that year, our one-on-ones would be live. I mean, it'll be exciting. We would talk all trash and do everything. But I remember that year in particular. That was the first year I started to beat Carlos Roger on some of those one-on-ones in practice. And that just gave me that confidence that it didn't matter who I faced. I cared less who the other team had facing me. But, of course, I know Corey Webster, who I was going against that game.
Right.
And, I was just more excited than anything to kind of try to prove that he's not better than Carlos Rogers. So who's going to be able to cover me? And like you say, having those one-on-ones against those caliber of players year round, all the way from the off season, all the way from training camp. I mean, it does big for you when you get into a game because, I'm not saying that other players are not as equal, but I am saying, certain players are special players. And Carlos Rogers was one of those guys. And, if I could beat him, who can stop me was the mentality.
So, Courtney, obviously big news out of Auburn is we have a new coach.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why we're excited to have you on is because as one of the better receivers in Auburn history, I mean, you made some big catches. Ceasear referenced that 4th and 12 that set up the touchdown versus during what was the pivotal game and moment in that season. I feel like that win really propelled you guys to that undefeated season. And when you talk about 1v1s, right, there was something that was being mentioned about the program under Gus in that he didn't like to run 1s versus 1s in practice, right?
Really?
Yeah. And so
I did not know that.
I just remember that the 1v1s were the most intense times during those practices.
Yes.
And you guys talked a lot of trash. A lot of fights broke out.
Yes.
You guys left it on the practice field.
Left it on the field.
Yeah, left it on the field. But then you took that aggression and translated it on to the field on Saturday to beat everybody that you faced. What kind of adjustments are the receivers in our system going to have to make to play with more pro-style concepts?
Well, I don't think there's any major adjustments. If anything, it's just the repetition. A new coach coming in, it's going to be more passing concepts, I'm assuming. When you go more into a pro-style offense, concepts makes a difference. You put guys in certain situations, you're working together as a unit. You have 2 receivers on this side or even maybe 3. All 2 and 3 receivers are working as one unit. The route concepts works in one unit and give the quarterback those progressions where it can be 1, 2, or 3. That's the difference of a pro style than, more so of hurry up and, catching teams off guard and that type of movement. But I never was aware that they didn't do one-on-ones in the Gus era.
Yeah. Well, we were shocked. At some point, they stopped doing it. Yeah, they stopped doing it.
I'm very shocked because, once again, as a receiver or as any position, one-on-ones are times that you focus on, your part. Me getting to my depth, getting to my route. And that's the importance of one-on-ones because if I'm not getting to my depth or if I'm not practicing getting to my depth every single day, I have to rely on my mind and not my body going through the repetitions, if that makes sense. Like sometimes you can run routes and you can snap it off right at your depth because you run that route every single day.
Right.
Even in one-on-ones, because it changes the trajectories, the angles, and everything when somebody's in your face.
Right.
Timing, the depth. Like sometimes you can go a yard short. Sometimes you can go a yard over, but you get the feel for it throughout the year. But, like you said, you got to do those type of things. And in a pro style offense, you must rep that stuff every single day. And I'm pretty sure that there will be one-on-ones with the new coach.
So one of the things that Brian Harsin talked about in his introductory presser, he talked about development. Yes. And that's one of the things we've been preaching and talking about ever since then with these guys coming along now. Listen, you played at the college level. You played at every level. You know what it takes. Talk about in this new pro style or this new system that emphasizes a lot of pro style concepts. What is it going to take for these receivers to develop? And what are some of the things that if they want to get to the next level, because we know these kids want to get to the next level, what are some of the things that they're going to have to understand about route running, being able to find holes in zone defenses? Like, what are some of the things that you think is important for them to pick up now?
Well, once again, like I said, that definitely goes back to, the coaches putting players in ideal situations, put them in everyday type situations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it'll be like a crazy adjustment for the guys. Of course, it'll be different, for some of the guys that's been there,
Mm-hmm.
with a new coach coming in and doing things a little bit different. But, I'm a big believer on repetition. Everything we do, we rep every single day. There's nothing you're going to do in a game that you hadn't repped before.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the mindset, and as far as, like you say, what are the players going to have to do to be successful in that system? That just come down to the coaches. That come down to the receiver coach, and, building those repetition, giving players different scenarios. Okay, if this guy's in my face, if he's soft coverage, if he's off 7 yards, it's a lot of little different things you can do. But, ultimately, I don't know. Did they is Cody Burns still the receiver coach there?
They actually hired Cornelius Williams this past weekend to be the wide receivers coach.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's out of Troy.
Out of Troy?
Yeah, he's out of Troy.
Oh, okay. So I don't know much about him, but, that just comes down to, like you say, the receiver coach, getting the players up to date, getting them up to speed, and then just start repping the heck out of these new pro concepts. Right. And that's going to be what it ultimately comes down to. But it won't be a big adjustment for the type of athletes we have.
So, Courtney, you mentioned Cody Burns, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've done a number of these interviews. We interviewed King Dunlap. We did Jarris McIntyre.
J-Mac.
J-Mac came on the show and chopped it up with us. And, one of the things that has been notable in talking to you guys is that you guys all credit your position coaches for a lot of the success that you've had and the mindset that you've had. Right.
Correct.
I think the feeling around the program is that wide receiver production has been a little lacking over the last few years. There could be a number of reasons for that.
I was waiting on them to give me a call.
Listen, so were we. Honestly, I was hoping they would give you a call, because we definitely could use the type of mindset that you had, with these new guys. This is something different that they're going through. I mean, you played in a different era, right? Like,
correct.
Two-a-days are not what they used to be.
No,
they're not as grueling as they used to be, right? And I would even venture to say that the kids these days are a little bit more coddled. Right. And I just remember how now was Coach Knox your wide receiver coach the entire time? Yeah. Right. Listen, you guys were some of the blockingest wide receivers I've ever seen.
You right? Didn't play if you didn't block.
That's what Jared said. That's what Jared said.
So,
he said there was no transfer portal. You couldn't call mom and dad.
Nope.
You weren't on the block.
You got to rock and roll. You got to rock and roll.
Right. Yeah. So my question for you is this: in this, we talked about development, and maybe in not running 1v1s, and when I say 1v1s, I mean ones versus ones, right?
Yeah.
Courtney Taylor versus Carlos Rogers,
correct.
And missing a significant development opportunity and not getting to run against Carlos Rogers in practice, right?
Correct. You're missing those elements,
right?
You have to have those elements. And I would have been a hard, firm pusher. Hey, coach, we got to get one-on-ones because you have to have a feel for the game. And if you don't go against that type of, aggressiveness every single day, then how are you going to combat it in the game? It don't work like that. And like I'm not saying like you can't win. Like you still can win. But you're going to lose probably more than you win just because you hadn't had that everyday repetition. It's not muscle memory to you.
Right.
So you're doing a lot of thinking. You processing the play that it just was called. You processing the defense, that's just what's called. That is a lot on players. And you want them to go out and play fast.
So let's say you're a receiver and Brian Harsin is your new coach, right? There's a new regime in town.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what you can do as a receiver on your own, right? During summer workouts, right? To get ready to stand out to your new coach?
Well, it's what they should be doing already anyway, because that's the game. You know, I always used to say to myself, a day that I don't work is a day that another receiver get better than me. It's a day that another DB gets better than me. So that off season is so big because, of course, during season you can't do everything that you do in the off season because of, you know, you're running more, you got classes, you got a lot of stuff going on. So during the season, it's more of maintaining. You're more of maintaining. But the off season, I mean, you're doing countless footwork. I mean, you're doing so much footwork. You're on that jud machine. You're literally, like I tell my receivers now that I train and coach, if you're not catching a minimum of over 1,000 balls a week, you are fooling yourself.
Oh, wow.
You are fooling yourself. And the catch is, catching 1,000 balls in a week is the easiest thing ever. You should be catching more, but at minimum, you must catch 1,000 balls a week. That's 100 and some balls a day if you break it down to 7 days. So it's not like you're really catching so much, but you got to be catching. You got to be catching balls every single day. You got to catch it from different angles. And like I say, the footwork, the hand fights, the hand placement. It's so much stuff you can do that you can work on and continue to better your game. And I always found that it translates. It translates. You know, my time at Auburn, the work we put in the summer, being on the judge, it translated to the season. When I was in the NFL, the work I put in, it translated. When I went to the CFL for my final 6 years of playing football, that's all I did. And it always translated. And so that's what kept me playing for so long into my 30s. And so that's what I tell kids. Do you want to play until you're 30? Or do you want to play, you know, just play college and be done? So that's literally what you can do to prepare yourself to come into the season. It's just that you're doing countless things every single day. And that goes back to that repetition that I keep talking about. Everything is a daily repetition to where it comes muscle memory. And now you're out there just going out there and making plays. And then you go back and look at the film. You don't even recognize that person sometimes.
Right.
You're like, who? Like, how did I do that? Or I don't remember even doing that. But I've done it 1,000 times before I even got in that situation. So I don't think it's hard. I just think it's the dedication. What type of dedication do you have? And what type of player do you want to be?
Courtney, we got a lot of good jewels from you, man, in terms of dedication, hard work, practicing. One of the things that we got from previous interviews was the concept, especially from King Dunlap, was the importance of buying in. And there's a lot of change on the Plains with the new coaching staff. We've seen kids decide to transfer out. But for the kids who decided, they're 10 toes down, they're going to stay with the team. In terms of buying in, speak to how important that is. And if you could say one thing to the kids now on the team, you're an OG now, and you got a lot of wisdom. What would be the thing that you would speak to in terms of buying in? It's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of things different. What do you say to them in terms of keeping them focused and buying in?
Well, you can reference it to, like, if I was to talk to a kid, especially the kids that have stayed there, and about the new coaching coming in, it's like at the end of the day, we all are striving to play in the NFL. So you yourself, you're individually, you are the guy that has the ultimate key to that success. It's not always your coaches. It's not always, these different things. It comes down to you. What do you want? And when you talk about buying into a culture, you can reference it kind of like to war. If we go into a battle with 20 people and we got just one person that is not on board what do you think happened to those 20 people?
Right.
It is hard to win that battle.
Right.
So the importance of buying in, whether you like your role or not, it's one of the biggest things that drives the success of that team. And ultimately, the success of that team helps you get to where you wanted to go. Right. So, you know, and that's simple as I can put it. And that's what I would tell guys. It's like, you know, if you want your ultimate goal and your ultimate dream, which is to play, and hopefully it's just to play in the NFL, then if you're an 0-13 team, how many people you think are gonna actually, you know, look at that team and say, hey, this player right here, he makes his team better.
Right.
Yeah. You guys just went 0-12. Your team is not better. Something's wrong.
Right.
So if anything, they'll try to look at every little hiccup, the reason that team is not successful. Therefore, you are going to be dissected. But I always tell people this. You play on a 13-0 team, you're still going to be dissected, but you're going to get more looks.
Right.
And it only takes one person to give you a chance.
Right.
So that's what I'll tell guys. Man, buying into a culture so you can be successful, so the team can be successful, the program, that's what brings the attention for you to get your ultimate goal.
Well, Courtney, listen, we really appreciate you coming on today. I think a lot of the things that you said echoes what we're hearing from former players like yourself who were very successful at Auburn and then went on to do it at another level, right?
Yes, sir.
You know, practice hard, put the work in on your own, right? Buy in. You know, listen to what the coaches have to say, right? You know, and put it on the line for the team. You know, so it's really good. You know, your voice is a little gone for this interview. There's a reason.
Man.
There's a reason for that.
This. I'm like, man. And the funny thing is, it's like, you know, the older you get, you know, I'm just to be honest. The older you get, I would say I started coaching and training and stuff probably about 4 years ago, 3.5, 4 years ago. And I never knew I could lose my voice. But we'll go to Vegas and do tournaments over the weekends. And, you know, we play like 10, 12 games. And you don't realize, you know, I mean, you're competitive. I'm a warrior. So it's just like I'm playing. You know, I'm excited when the kids are excited. I get in their butt when I need to. Like, hey, come on, let's go. And then, you know, you just, you know, I don't realize how much I'm yelling and excited. So until I get back home, go to sleep and wake up, and I can't even talk. and usually some tea or some coffee will get me right. But yeah, I think this weekend was a little bit tougher.
Well, tell us more. You're training kids now.
Yeah.
Right.
So
can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with kids post football?
Yeah. So I have a little small company that I call Taylor. You know, I call it Taylor. Like I'm helping tailor your game. And of course I work more with wide receivers. And like you say, that's something that I've been loving for the past 3.5 years that I've started doing it. Going on 4 years. And like you say, just to give back, man, just to see the kids' faces when just yesterday, I have a kid that I've been working with for about 3 years, and he got his first scholarship offer right there on the 7-on-7 field.
Nice.
Oh, man,
and I'm sitting up there. I mean, I'm mad about the 2 losses we had over the weekend. but I'm serious. You know, that's me. But, you know, like I told the kids, we went 4-2. Some people would kill to go 4-2. You know, and big in these tournaments. But, you know, that's the expectation that we set for our guys. But to see that kid, you know, face light up, his parents don't have to worry about him going. That's why I do it. And this year, I had the privilege. I had the #1 wide receiver in the country. His name is Emeka Abuku.
Oh, nice. Is he going to Auburn?
I can't even say his name right.
Are you sending him to Auburn? Because we need him.
I tried. Trust me. I tried, but Auburn wasn't throwing the ball enough for him.
Oh, there
But
you go.
There you go.
I had the #1 receiver in the country. He's going to Ohio State. But that's a different story. But like you said, it's my passion and it's what I love to do. And as you can tell, that's why I talk about repetition. That's why I talk about the muscle memory, putting yourself in those situations, because that's what I'm teaching these days, and like I tell guys, I said, guys, I was never that 4'4", 4'3" guy, 4'4". I was a 4'5" guy, but I made the best of my speed. I did the best. And like you say, I had that mindset that the 2 or 3 balls that came my way, because we didn't throw the ball 40 times like this generation does.
Right.
We throw it like 17, maybe 20.
Right.
The 3 or 4 that I got, I was gonna catch all of them.
Right.
So I was gonna do everything in my power to be ready to catch every last thing that came my way, because you never know when you was gonna get another ball when you got so much talent around you. So, but yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing these days. And like I say, I'm loving it. I love giving back and watching these guys chase their dreams.
And I'm also loving that picture behind you too, that infamous catch.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
there
I tell them they need to get me one in the 4th and 12, because the 4th and 12 is bigger than me. To me,
listen, that was an amazing.
The touchdown was the easy part.
Listen,
I tell people, I said, the touchdown was the easy part, in my opinion. That 4th and 12, everything that was going through my mind, and it could easily go the other way. So,
Courtney, that was a low percentage play. Looking back at it, that was a low percentage play.
Listen, think about that play. Think about that play for a second, right? This is something that we've been sorely missing on the Plains. You ran that route. I remember it like it was yesterday. You ran that route to the perfect depth, right at the sticks, right? Jason put the ball right on you. I remember you falling to the ground to make the catch, and I had the end zone shot from the scoreboard.
And I secured the catch.
That's right.
Most people, they don't understand. In a 4th quarter game, a minute and some, 2 minutes, whatever it was at that time, and everybody's tired because you've been battling all game. And like I tell people, I remember looking out at the DB and seeing his hands on his hips like this, and that tired look.
Yeah, warm out.
And I was tired too, but that gave me power when I saw that. I said, oh, I'm going 100% here, and I got to secure this catch. Most people would, throw them hands out there to make that catch. If you notice, I caught that ball here to snap it against my body, because I knew I was going to get hit immediately.
Right.
If I go to catch it with my hands,
to
me, anything can happen. That ball jars out, anything. So it was just the small things for me that I literally thought and processed in that small amount of time because of my repetition and practice.
Well, right. So you mentioned it, right, which I think is important. You talk, which I think is really important for a lot of people to hear about, running your routes, so that when it was time for you to make a play, how many times have we seen a guy run a route, went on 4th down, short of the sticks?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then he gets hit like you hit, but he didn't run his route deep enough. He had no awareness of where the 1st down marker was at.
Correct.
Right. And then the game's over.
Because you didn't run your route. That's why you do one-on-ones. That's why you do your repetitions every single day. Right. Because it puts you in an element where you're comfortable. You can be relaxed in a time where it's high intensity. So I can't put it in no other better way. It's like I was not pressing. I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew exactly what I needed to get to. I knew I was going to push 2 yards past this cone. Like I knew all that from repetition.
Right.
From repetition. And so it's just, that is one of the main things that, I relate to a lot of the guys I train now these days. It's like, guys, every situation you're in, you have already seen it 1,000 times before you get to that situation. You have already dreamed about it. And that's why, like I said, we keep reference to one-on-ones, because that's what got us going about repetition. And you can look at it from that route. That was a one-on-one route. It was me against him. So, you know, it's those type of things that you are training your body to react in those situations. All the way down to the hand placement.
Well, Courtney, again, I really appreciate the knowledge that you dropped on a lot of our listeners today. You know, there's a lot of value in the average fan hearing what you guys go through in practice and how that translates to success on the field on Saturdays. I'm even happier to hear how you're using your experiences to help shape young and impressionable minds. Having the #1 receiver in the country is a big deal. I wish he was going to Auburn and not Ohio State, but maybe we'll send the next one down to the plane.
Yeah, well, that's why I said I'm gonna have to start on the next year, because I started with this kid as, you know, he was a 9th grader, and you know, we've been building through up. But the next one, trust me, I'm gonna be throwing Auburn in there every chance that I get.
Well, again, we really appreciate you joining us. As always, we are the War Rapport. Please click like and subscribe on YouTube. We're bringing you more content like this, more interviews, more access. We are the War Rapport on Twitter and Instagram, TW Rapport on TikTok. We are signing off, and as always, gentlemen, War Eagle.
War Eagle.